All right, guys, welcome to episode 15 of the Different Animals podcast. It's your boy Tyler.
And I'm Ever Castro.
And today, some of the topics we're going to touch on are the filming of John Wick, which I think 5 was kind of recently confirmed just in general, I
Mm-hmm.
believe.
Yeah.
Um, the new director of Captain Marvel 2. Actually, I don't know if new is the right word because was there any director in line before that?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, so the announcement of the director for Captain Marvel 2. Our favorite songs longer than 7 minutes. uh, College football, and then gonna possibly talk about The Last of Us 2 again. But first, all right, so let's start with John Wick.
Yes.
So the main thing we wanted to touch on is that they've announced John Wick 5, but then you brought it to my attention that they are planning on filming them back to back.
Yeah. So they're gonna film them as one big production. So usually, normal sequels, they do the sequel or they do the movie, they shut everything down, or they like put everything away, and then they go, all right, let's start the new one. Let's do some sketches. Let's do pre-production. Let's plan everything, and then they start all over, basically from not from scratch, but they started not at the same time, right? So like
Right.
like Spider-Man 1 comes out and they go, that was great reaction. Let's do Spider-Man 2. They start all over, they film it, they put it out. But I'm sure even before the movie comes out, they got some ideas rumbling. But
Right.
this is different. This is like literally at the same time that they're planning 4, they're doing 5, right? So like the story for both of them is mostly hammered down for the most part before they even start filming for 4.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, I mean this is pretty ambitious. It's pretty big, and it sort of means that they're all in on it, right? Like for Lionsgate, this is like their cash cow. Like they're like, this is gonna be it, which makes
Right.
sense because I
They're
think
100% sure that 4 is not going to do poorly at this
right,
point, right?
right. I mean, John Wick 3 opened I think to $50 million. I think I don't know its total, but for an R-rated movie. That's the second sequel. That's huge, especially considering the first one was, it was a big hit, of course, but in theaters it was a very modest hit. I think like $10
Right.
million opening, around 40 mil total. I think it's all been sort of like the word of mouth cult following type thing.
Right. Absolutely. So that is an interesting thing to think about. And you brought up the fact that a lot of movies that are done this way don't generally turn out great.
Yeah. So I think the first one that I remember doing this, or the one that I know of that did this, you can feel free to reach out if this isn't the first one. But the first ones I always heard of were the Back to the Future sequels. So Back to the Future 1 comes out in 1985, and it's huge, right? And so immediately they get to work on Back to the Future 2. And so at the same time, they do Back to the Future 3 as well. And so Back to the Future 2 comes out in 1989, and then 3 comes out in 1990. But if you watch both of them, they're pretty much like directly like linked, right? Like as soon as 2 ends, it's like to be continued, or like next, see us in a year type thing. And
Right.
yeah, and so they did it. The Matrix did it. They filmed Reloaded and Revolutions at the same time. So it's like, you film. I think the cinematographer for both of those said that they filmed for like 250 days straight or something. Like,
God.
just like, because I mean, both of those movies are
Fucking just
huge.
Neo and black leather for 250 days.
250. I mean, dude, like the courtyard fight with all the agents, that took like a month to film. And then you can only imagine how long the fucking highway fight took if you remember
Oh
that
my
one.
god. That is the most, like, one of the best action sequences in any movie. But
Right.
continue.
Yeah. And I mean, like the movie itself, it's kind of like, oh, but and so that's in both of those are kind of like, like I saw 3 once. I have not gone back. I've seen 2 a couple times, and I've seen that scene with the in the highway a few times. I need to rewatch it sort of just to get a better appreciation of it. And then of course the last ones that I know, or the most recent example, are the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. They filmed 2 and 3 back to back and released them
It's
back to back years.
Oh, it's Pirates of the Caribbean. All right.
Oh.
All right. So, but yeah, they filmed those back to back, and we know those are gutter trash.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's almost the exact same thing as the Matrix ones, where the third one I watched once and I haven't watched it again. But the second one actually has some really good action sequences. There's like one where they're like in a well wheel, not a well. What is it
Mhm.
called? Yeah, like a well, right? And then they're like fighting with swords as the wheel spins, and it's really cool.
Right.
It looks great. But they're both not as good as the first ones. So overall, it's kind of like it usually it doesn't bode well for them to do this, or it doesn't come out as well as most people would think, right?
Right. And you brought up the exception, which is
Yeah,
Infinity War and Endgame,
yeah,
which
with like the two biggest
nailed
movies
it.
of all time. Yeah.
And so that did you have something you wanted to say specifically about those?
No, just that. Well, like I knew that they were going to do part one and part two because there was originally supposed to be when they announced them. They were supposed to be Infinity War Part One, and then it was supposed to be Avengers Infinity War Part One, and then Avengers Infinity War Part Two, and then somewhere they just said, well, they're two distinct movies. Which, if you watch them, they kind of are, but
Right.
they were filmed in the same production schedule. Like it was just one massive production doing both of them at the same time. I think they weren't as um closely linked as the other ones. I think they were more separate, but it was still just one big massive production because it's like when you have to get all those actors, instead of being like, all right, book your schedule, all right, go ahead and do whatever, you go ahead and say book your schedule for this one all the way to the end of Endgame.
Right.
So it does save money in the long run, but it does end up hurting movies generally. Endgame, of course, being the exception, being like the fucking biggest movie of all time.
Right. And so I'm gonna hmm, uh, I'm gonna maybe make a suggestion, not a suggestion, a don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I'm just gonna fucking stumble over it,
Mm-hmm.
which is that like I wonder if so like Back to the Future, The Matrix. Boy, I literally just fucked up my own logic because I was about to say Pirates of the Caribbean, but I was gonna say Back to the Future and The Matrix kind of had like a like very twist in maybe not twist and turning, but like I feel like there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong story wise.
Right.
And those movies like Back to the Future is just a time travel thing. It's not a super deep story, but like we mentioned with the movie that I can't Palm Springs.
Yes.
Like it's just a lot of ways for little things to go wrong once you start introducing time travel.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And I mean, like, you said you've never seen it, but in the second one, so, they go to the future, they go to like 2015, and then they go back, and it's like different, and then anyway, so, um, they also go back in time to the things that happened in the first movie.
Oh
So you
boy.
see the first movie, you see some stuff happening from the first movie from a different perspective in the second movie. So it sort of gets mixed up, and then in the third one they go to the Old West. So
Right.
yeah, I think oh, sorry, go ahead and finish your thought. But I kind of what you're saying is that once you get sort of that sci-fi high concept shit, then it's like, oh, it sort of kind of collapses under its own weight of complexity.
Right, and I wonder if lumping these things into the same production hinders that even more because then you're not like really. I don't know enough about the movie, so I'm saying all this like I'm some sort of fucking insider. And there's easily someone that's probably gonna be like, "That's not how that works at all." But like in my head, like if you don't have two separate production cycles, there may be some things that aren't getting quite as fleshed out as they would otherwise.
Right.
Just if for no other reason than the time to separate yourself from it and then come back to it. You know what I mean? Like you come back to it fresh and maybe notice things. No
Right.
different than rereading a paper you have to turn in college. You know what I mean? Like you can be like, ah, fucking nailed it, done, and then you come back the next day and you're like, I do have quite a few typos in here. Like need
Yeah.
to clean this
Exactly.
up. So like,
Exactly. Like there's no time to respond to it. So like, let's say you put something in two and it just lands with a fucking thud. Like people just do not like it. You have
right,
no chance of cutting it out because you're already locked into it, right? And then when you try to change it, if you try to change it, it like fucks up the third one because then it sort of looks where you chopped it up, kind of like the third Star Wars one, right? Because
right,
people didn't like the second one for some reason, and then they, you know, reversed course the other way. But it's like that. It's like that. It's like imagine that, But if they had filmed them back to back, then people would have been like, "What the hell is this?" You know?
Right, and like also, where my overall I think arcing point was that I could see it possibly working for John Wick, where it didn't work for those movies, because like those two movies have like there's a lot of complexity that you're addressing in a very short amount of time. Like as much as three movies is a lot of movies, like it's still like a short amount of time to nail everything you've got.
Right.
So like Avengers Endgame and Infinity on the other hand, like whereas like you could say their time travel is just as complex. The thing is they were building for that for 20 plus movies. I feel like I don't know what the number is, but I feel like it
Yeah.
was 20 plus movies.
Yeah, it was.
So
Yeah.
like that was planned way ahead of time. Maybe not completely fleshed out, but like way more fleshed out than other movies that are trying to double production. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's
Yes.
why it worked. On the
Exactly.
other hand, John Wick, I feel like only very loosely needs any sort of, you know what I mean? Like it's not about the story. You know, what I mean? It's
Right.
like
Right.
all about the set pieces and the action and like give you
Like.
enough story to be invested in the character's motives. So
Right.
like maybe just because it's such a bare minimum needed, they can still nail it. You know what I mean? Like I'm hoping that because you're not having to worry about things landing the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like realistically, what can they do that's gonna make people be like, "Oh, now I'm out." You know what I mean? Like
Right. Right. He
unless
didn't
they
shoot enough
fuck,
people in the head.
right? Unless they literally like John Wick turns into a pacifist. Like that's the only way they can fuck this up.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, like you said, like other ones, it's about the stories, but this one seems to be about just people wanting to see him, karate chop people in the throat and shoot him in the head point blank.
Right, and for what it's worth, with the Matrix, the action sequences were great. It's just people that were invested in the story were like, well, hold on, this
Yeah.
isn't this isn't really coming together in a way that makes sense or is great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, if all it was the action pieces, then it was fine. You know,
Right.
so like, I'm hoping maybe John Wick 4 and 5 will still do okay because I do love those movies.
Yeah. And the thing is, like the thing, Endgame and Infinity War are such huge exceptions in every single way because in the three that I mentioned, Back to the Future, The Matrix, and Pirates, all three of them, the second movie ends, and all three of them end in such a way where it's not like narratively satisfying. Like Back to the Future 2 ends, Doc gets stuck in the past, and you have to be like, oh, he's gotta go save him, and you go, well, shit, that's not really an ending to the movie. Like it doesn't feel like a movie on its own because the
Yeah,
movie
the
goes,
conflict is still happening.
yeah, it's
You
like
know?
wait until next year, kids, and then the Matrix, at the end,
It's like an anime. Like literally like it ends in the middle of a fight and you're like, well, hold on.
yeah,
Like,
well, like what the fuck, yeah, because then in Pirates 2, Jack dies, and like we gotta go find him at the in the underworld or whatever, the edge of the world. And you're like, okay, come back next year, kids, when we save Captain Jack Sparrow. And then in the Matrix, same thing. I think Agent Smith leaves the Matrix, and I think Neo is blinded. Come back next time, kids, when we see what happens to Neo. And it's like I don't want to see that. Which I guess Infinity War kind of did that,
right, like
but like
nah, because it's narratively concluded, unlike the other ones. Now
right, the
it
bad guy
totally,
won.
yeah, it totally is not I definitely want there to be another movie because I don't want this to end this way. But
Yeah,
like thematically, narratively, like if it had ended there, you'd have just been like, that's devastating. Like
yes,
you wouldn't be like, this sucks because I didn't get to finish. You know what I mean? Like
dude.
this is just
Yep.
terrible.
Yep. You know what it would have been like? The equivalent would have been like if Thanos gets all 6 stones and he's about to snap it, or he snaps it and it cuts to black and it's like the credits roll. Like
Right.
that's the same. That would have been the same as the other ones. But I think,
Right.
yeah, I think them showing it and ending it and it being its own movie where the bad guy just happens to win, I think that's what differentiates it. And then I think that's why the second movie made so much more money, whereas all of the other three, the third installment, the second sequel, made less money than the second one for all three of those.
Right, because for what it's worth, I think people can just naturally, intuitively feel a cash grab.
Yes. Or
Like
they can feel when they're being like fucked out of a
yeah,
story.
yeah, like
Or
strung
they're trying to, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things with like, uh, it happens in video games a lot. Actually, it's just like there are times where like you get the end of a story and you're just like, this is not like Like you're, or like the actions that you are doing in the game, like your overall grand arcing story that's going between these games, it just doesn't end with any sort of like resolve. You're just like cool. So, like, or overall nothing happened. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Right.
Like maybe I got all this story, but really like it didn't lead to anything outside. And you're like, cool. So I guess I'm done with this. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to. Like you're clearly just reaching at this point, which
Hmm.
is what I will say about two different games. Which is that one, the Assassin's Creed 2 trilogy with Ezio, where you
Yeah.
have like Ezio, then Ezio again, then old Ezio. I
Yeah.
feel like kind of nailed it. Like Infinity Ward, where like each was really its own self-contained game.
Right.
Like it definitely there was more to expand upon. Clearly, because we had two more games, but like it still felt satisfying when you finished one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was helpful. And then the other thing was like the other reach I think is like Asura's Wrath, which when I talked about it before, like it needs the DLC. The game is not complete really until you have the DLC.
Hmm.
But like I think they understood that, and that's why the DLC was so cheap. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like if you're like look like some things happened like we need this, and then you charge like $20. It's like well hold on, eat a dick. But then if it's like five, you're like cool. I'll live
It's
with
like
it.
somebody made a compromise somewhere where they were like, "We'll have DLC, but it'll be super cheap," kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So like
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna do that, you have to like not be a scumbag about it because that's when it pulls, people along.
Right. Right. Or it makes narrative sense. Oh, I literally just I thought about them. The Lord of the Rings movies. They were all filmed back to back to back.
All three?
Yeah, I just completely forgot
Oh.
about them because they were well, yeah, yeah. I guess I don't know. I guess when I think about these, I always think the first movie comes out and it makes a lot of money, and then they do two and three back to back to fucking add a bunch of money.
Right.
But I guess those worked out. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like those are different because like the story was already there.
Right. If there
Yeah.
was a giant ass book ready to go.
Right. Right. And you just kind
And
of have
nobody was confused about whether it was going to be good or not.
right. Yeah.
But
But yeah. Yeah.
so yeah. So back to back, hopefully John Wick turns out great. That's my hope.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I like I've said here before, I like them okay. Like I don't love them. People love them. I think they'll be fine. I think if we ever do make them, I mean, I think four is supposed to come out. I think they said Memorial Day 2022. So who knows if that's gonna
God.
happen? And I would think probably they would do five Memorial Day 2023.
Right. I'm
Right.
in though. I'm in
Yeah.
though. If those actually happen, I'm in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
going from one movie to another,
Yep.
they hire Nia DaCosta has now been announced to be directing Captain Marvel 2. And I know
Yes.
nothing about this name.
Hmm.
All I know is that in this note you put Candyman apostrophe S. Candyman's Nia DaCosta.
Yeah.
Which I don't know anything about that movie either, but just based on the name, I assume it's a horror movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a remake of the one from I think the '90s, the one with Tony Todd, and it was supposed to come out I think this summer, and it's produced or executive produced or produced by Jordan Peele.
Okay.
And so it was gonna come out, and I mean, it must have been, or it must have good buzz around it if they hired her to do a sequel to a billion-dollar movie. But I think it's a good hire. I mean, from what I hear, her first movie's really good. And like I said, I think the remake's supposed to be pretty good too. So yeah, I mean, I like it. It's a good hire.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't know much about it, but um, who directed the first Captain Marvel?
It was a duo. It was Amy Flick and Ryan Bowden, and they are a duo, and they made a couple of small movies, and then they got their big break when they did Captain Marvel. Um, and they actually did did I say? I might have gotten the names backwards. Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, and they actually are the directors of the show I mentioned last week, Mrs. America. They did that
Oh,
one, or
okay.
they did some episodes of that one. Um, and so yeah, I'm interested, or I'm surprised why they didn't ask them to come back. But I guess having a black woman as a fucking directing a gigantic $200 million movie, is something that's awesome. Although I'm always split when they get these directors who are like sort of up and coming, because it's like yeah, it's good that they're getting their big break, but then sort of
They fuck it up right now. They're probably not recovering. Is that
right, right, yeah. Like if they're like for every Ryan Coogler who did Black Panther, now he's he can do any movie he wants for the rest of his life.
Mhm.
There's like a guy, Josh Trank. So he did Chronicle. Do you remember that one? One where the kids can move shit with their minds.
I never watched that one, but I remember seeing the trailers for it. I think.
And so that one was a relatively sized hit, which I'm guessing they thought Candyman is gonna, or they think Candyman is gonna be. And so they gave him Fantastic Four after that, the
Oof.
remake, the shitty remake.
Oof.
And I mean, it was shitty, and he also had a bit of a personality, and there was like issues on set and stuff. But of course, that blows up in his face. It bombs when it comes out, and he hasn't been able to make a big movie since. I mean, he's made some movies, but none of them have been, fucking Disney $200 million level.
Right. So two things I want to address here. One is that do you think it's legitimately possible to make a good Fantastic Four movie?
Yeah, I mean, they did. I think The Incredibles is probably the best version of that sort of story. But then again, The Incredibles was made by Pixar, so it's like
right, and also like not meant to be serious. And I'm not saying that like, because like Thor Ragnarok isn't like a serious movie. You know what I mean? It's like constantly like hitting you with jokes. But like I think the heroes and like I think The Incredibles, because it's made up and it's like this is superheroes, like you can do whatever you want with them. But like when you have the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom, which is a serious, legitimate villain, you know what I mean? And then you have these four heroes, and like their powers just suck, man. There's nothing, there's nothing to say. They're just a joke. You have one dude who can turn into fire. He's the only one that remotely is even like it should be a fucking hero. Right. The other dude got turned into rocks. Who cares? Doesn't have control of rocks. Literally just is rocks.
He just is rocks, yeah. His name is literally The Thing.
Because what the fuck do you call him? Fucking Senior Rocks, dude. I don't know. Yeah. Then you got Mr. Fantastic, which is the shittiest, dumbest fucking power ever. Like, I don't know.
You want to stretch? You can do like balloons. You can be like Elastigirl
and be not serious. That's how. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do with that? Like, bro, Doctor Doom has like blasters on his arms or whatever, or fucking like lasers. I don't know, but like, what am I supposed to do? Right. Like, I can stretch. This man can fly and shoot me. Like, what? Bro, your ability to stretch doesn't help you against a random fucking dude who stole a girl's purse with a gun. Like, you can't, like, he just shoots you as a rat. Like, you're fucked.
But I think, well...
And the bitch can go invisible. Like, I just like it. Like,
and she can do force fields. You can do force fields. It's something.
Yeah. To save fucking old Mr. Plastic over here. Like, that's all she's there for. She's just the insurance. He's smart and he can just be long, I guess. I don't know.
I do wonder how they're going to do it. I mean, like, there's no way they're not working on it. They have the characters back. But it seems, we're not going to see that for a long time because everything's sort of stuck in whatever this is. But
good. My man, dude, he's rocks. Dude, I don't like every character sucks except the Human Torch.
I'm sure people said that about Groot or about Rocket. They're like a raccoon or like, oh, a tree,
Yeah, but the thing is they're not there as serious heroes. They're there as like the comic relief. Like Groot is not out here like Groot does save everyone in one grand act, right? Like when he covers everyone.
Yeah.
But like it's not like Groot was out here taking down Thanos. You know what I mean? Like and like Rocket Raccoon was like had like some funny lines. He was like kind of comedic relief, had funny lines, and then every once in a while would just like pull an emotional string here and there, and then like shoot something. But he again was never like the guy. Rocket Raccoon was never the guy responsible for like the villain's downfall.
Right. Yeah. He wasn't like.
He wasn't Star-Lord or Gamora or fucking Batista.
Drax.
Nah, dude, it's Batista. All I've ever wanted is to see him do a Batista bomb to someone in
one of the movies. Yes, it's like when the fucking Rock did the rock bottom in, I think it was Furious 7. Do you remember that he did it on Jason Statham?
I haven't seen that yet, but I don't think I've seen that one yet. But that's so amazing.
Yeah,
Bro,
he
I
did
want. Nah, here's what he should have done to people's elbow. Can you imagine if in a serious action scene at the end of it, he like
yeah.
runs, jumps over, then he jumps over him again, fucking
He
like.
throws his
Yeah,
wristband.
throws his
Yeah.
fucking elbow pad, like,
Yeah.
just off to the ground, and does the stupid shake, like,
Did
before
you
he falls.
Yeah, when you get off of here, watch that fight scene between The Rock and Jason Statham in Furious 7 because it is filmed. That whole movie is filmed very differently than the rest because it was filmed by James Wan. So it has these like camera moves where when he like rock bottoms him, the camera like moves with the Rock like an upgrade. Did you watch the movie Upgrade where the
I
guy like
didn't.
moves and the camera moves with him? It's like that. It's like these weird fucking flipping camera shits. And so yeah, he does the rock bottom. He like grabs him, and the camera like goes
Like, he's
with
vertical
him.
on the screen the whole time? Like, as
Yes,
he's
yes,
going
yes,
down for the
yeah,
rock
yeah. I
bottom?
think I
Oh,
think so. Yeah,
no.
yeah. So
Is Furious 7 the one where they go to the Rock's home? Or is that 8? Do you
that
know which
might
one I'm
be
talking about? With Roman Reigns?
Oh, that's Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, that's Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. Because I remember you're like 100% against spoilers, right? And like, or even trailers.
Oh, yes, yes.
And
Yeah.
I mentioned to you, I was like, I really want to bring up something, but if you don't want to hear it, I understand. You're like, I don't want to hear it. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I ever brought this up, but like my thing was is that when I saw Roman Reigns, it was like Roman Reigns and The Rock. I was like, I hope to God that this action scene is one of the best action scenes in a movie ever because it's just dudes fucking like that can actually wrestle, just like bodying the shit out of each other on camera with like good
Uh-huh.
special effects and not just like a stage. You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
like
yes,
like
yeah, yeah.
actual wrestling. Like, can you imagine if wrestling had like full production value, how lit it would be? And I was like, I hope it's that. But I don't think it ended up turning into that. I don't believe
No.
so.
Mm-mm.
But can you imagine? Can you imagine they fucking like the Rock throws some dude, Roman Reigns clotheslines him, and then does the fucking like his finisher, and
Yeah.
then
The
the
fucking
Rock
punch.
bottoms, yeah, and then the
The
Rock.
Superman punch. Yeah.
Right, which is, by the way, here's the deal. I'm not really into wrestling that much, but by the way, the Superman punch has got to be the lamest fucking.
It's the lamest one, dude. It's
Bro,
worse than
it's a
fucking
punch.
John Cena's
It's
F
an
you.
actual
Remember
punch,
that?
dude. Bro, it's like if someone's finisher was like a strong right, like a strong right hook. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's
there's
the worst.
also not really any theatrics to it.
Right.
Like, Sweet Chin Music was just a kick to the face, but my man warmed up the band first. You know what I mean?
Right, right, and it's like that build up. It's like Edge's spear. It's like you see, he's in one corner, and he's like, "Come on, get up!" Right, and he's like flipping his hair, and you're like, it's the anticipation of the guy getting up slowly.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, the
eh,
spear though is also pretty low because it's just a football tackle.
right,
Like, I was watching
but
people actually do that against moving targets in the
but when he did
NFL.
it when Jeff Hardy was hanging off the belt, and he did it from the ladder.
Oh yeah, that's
That was
fair.
pretty sweet.
That is fair.
It's just so funny we're talking about wrestling because this week, somebody tweeted out like, "What's a sports memory you wish you would have seen live or whatever?" And
Okay.
I said, the moment in the SmackDown episode where Brock Lesnar suplexed the Big Show off of the top rope and
Oh
he
yeah.
broke the ring. uh,
The craziest shit ever in a wrestling match, and it's not like I'm not revealing anything anyone doesn't know already, which is the fucking Undertaker and Mick Foley, dude. That shit is so insane.
when he threw him off the Hell in the Cell.
Yeah, the Hell in the Cell, and the top crashes down, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ. And it was not planned. It was not planned. That's the
Oh
most,
yeah, oh yeah,
that's
right, because
terrifying.
he was supposed to only like just choke slam him at the top, and like the top was just supposed to like be like, oh my god, he landed on the chains or the
Right.
chain link fence,
Right, but
instead
then the
he went
fucking thing broke and the whole
through
thing
way.
came down. And I was like, holy shit.
Mick Foley died. Oh,
You know, for like a split second, the whole way down. Wait, what was his name? Because Mick Foley was the guy he was before him.
Mankind.
Mankind. You know, the
Yeah.
whole way down, he's like, dude, it's a wrap. It's a wrap for me. It's,
It's a
over.
fucking-
It's
Like if you watch,
curtains.
dude, that's why if you watch it, Undertaker just stands up there because he's like, fuck, I just killed somebody.
I just killed somebody on fucking national TV.
Yeah.
Oh boy, and that's happened. Sad times. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's no bueno.
But yeah, the fucking the wrestling thing. Like, all right, somebody on the comments of that YouTube of where they broke the ring, they
Yeah.
said they were like, "This is the first episode I watched, so imagine my expectations
Oh
the
my
next week."
god! Can you imagine? You'd be like, wow, this whole thing
Well,
fucking
this is fucking
sucks.
sucks, dude. Like, they're just normal
They
wrestling.
just
What happened?
blew-
Why isn't the ring exploding?
Right?
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna throw him through the ropes while the ropes were on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think where were we going with this?
We were talking about The Rock or something.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
The only connection I can make, which is not the connection we made, I'm 100% sure, is that we were talking about the rock because the thing is just rocks. Like,
Oh yes, I think that's what it. No, we were. I don't.
there's
I
no way
actually
that's
don't
what it
remember.
was. There's no way that's what it was. But I'm with it. We're back, dude. The thing is
I
just
guess we could
rocks.
say.
Mr. Elastic can't stop a bullet, and fucking Invisible Girl is invisible, and the Human Torch is okay. That's all I got.
I was gonna say the only thing longer than this chain of connections are our favorite songs that are 7 minutes long.
Yeah, so our favorite songs that are longer than 7 minutes. I guess if that
Yes.
shit clocked in at exactly 7 minutes, we're still counting it. But if it clocks in at 6:59, get that shit
Nope.
out of here.
Get out of here.
So let's go through some of yours real quick, and then I'll go through mine quick.
Yeah. Do you want to do back and forth, or I just go ahead?
How about this? Where are we at on time? Because I forgot to set my stopwatch.
What about half the way through, 30 minutes?
All right, fuck it, dude. Let's just
go
go
back
through it
and
back and
forth real
forth,
quick.
and then when
Yeah.
you catch it, and it's like 55 minutes, and we both talked about one song each, we'll be like, let's
We'll
speed
be
it
like,
up.
God damn it. We need to do better. But I'll start first. My first one is "Fear" by Kendrick Lamar from 2017's Damn. It's I didn't get the exact times, but it's 7 minutes and plus. And in it, he talks about his fears at three different ages: 7, 17, and 27. And he talks about, being afraid of his mom, being afraid of dying, and then being afraid of losing his money, or losing it all as quickly as he gained it. It's my favorite song off of that album. DNA's good, but I think this one is kind of like the "Sing About Me, Dying of Thirst" of that one, where it's like, damn,
Yeah, I
this
can
is
see that.
like his lyricism is on display. Like, this is the shit. So I definitely recommend it. It's "Fear."
Okay. My favorite song on that album. So you remember how I talked about "Electric Body" because the chorus was so absurd? Like "Shake
Yeah.
that ass, girl, make that coochie wet" is like the most insane thing to do for a chorus.
Mhm.
I think my favorite song on "Damn," like it's definitely not the best song. Like I will tell you that it's definitely not the best song,
Mhm.
but it's still like my favorite. Like it makes me smile the most when it comes on. Is "Element." Because it's just like the chorus,
Oh
like if I
yeah.
gotta slap a
Make it
pussy
look
ass, I'm gonna
sexy.
make it look sexy.
Sexy.
It kills me every time. So that's my favorite song off that album, which is completely unrelated, but that's how we do it. So what's funny is we brought this up. This has been on the list, I think, for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then we didn't touch on it 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, and then this past week we mentioned it.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, was the reason we used Last Call, because Last Call is like 45 minutes long.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's the last quote, and only like 2 minutes of it is actually a song. The rest of it is just them talking.
Yeah.
Um,
Just him. Yeah. Yep.
but it still counts. Um, so, but anyways, we were talking about it then, and while this was on the document, I was listening to my phone at work. I'm just having music playing in the background because I just like I like can't zone in and like focus at work unless I have music, and I don't know what it is, but like music gives me just enough energy to like I need to get shit done, but not so much energy that I'm like just fucking like losing my mind. But
Yep.
so and then Pyramids by Frank Ocean came on, and I was like, this song sounds really good because I never listened to I think Channel Orange, which is the album it's on. I've never listened to Channel Orange, so sue me on that one.
Oh,
And
it's excellent.
I know, like what's funny is I will never dispute that any of these are great. Like you're like Lemonade's the best, and I was like, yeah, probably. And you're like Anti's the best, I was like, yeah, definitely. Channel Orange is the best, like I get it, but like I just for whatever reason never sit down and listen to them. But I heard it and I was like, this is like I like the way this sounds. And then like 5 minutes later, I was like, the song's still fucking going. I mean, I'm into it, but
Yeah.
holy shit! Like, and then I looked and it's like I think it's like 7.5 minutes or something like that. And I was like,
Yep.
I'm putting it on the list because that song is great. But I just remember like being shocked it was still going on. I was like, we're still doing this for real? Like, okay. So that's gonna be the first one I go over,
All right. My next one is "Spodioty Doublelicious" by Outkast.
which has the
Um.
best horns in any fucking song ever.
Mhm. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so the song itself is great. And it's sort of like that classic. It's like the classic mix of like their lifestyle, but also like life and just great lyricism. But of course, like you just said, the horns are classic. I think, and they're also sampled in so many songs. Like,
Yeah, because they're fucking the best thing that's ever happened in a song.
yes, you've heard them before. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yep.
yeah, and so they're sampled in like the Flawless remake by Beyonce, All Night by Beyonce, Right Above It by Lil Wayne, Who Dat by J Cole, um, a Jill Scott song, another song by Joey Badass, Childish Gambino samples it, Logic samples in the song. So like those horns are classics. Um, but yeah, it's 7 minutes, and that's my number two.
Okay, my number two is going to be a callback to. Um, I was talking about Odd Future last episode. Oldie is like their. Oldie was like. So here's the deal. I'm gonna say some shit, and I might be remembering it wrong, but that this is definitely what I thought was going on, which is that, like I said before, where like there was all this like mythology around Earl Sweatshirt. Like I feel like I remember the OF tape came out, which was like their group's mixtape. Like it wasn't just a Tyler project, wasn't just a Haji
Mm.
project. Like everyone that was in that group, which was a giant fucking group, like did songs on this mixtape. And Earl has a verse in Oldie, and I think he's like maybe the next to last verse. Like I think Tyler the Creator is the last verse, and Earl's the one before that. And I feel like I remember it being like the first time we heard something new from him in a very long time. And so it was super dope. He has a great verse, but like it's everybody. Like like one of the dudes is not even a rapper, has like never done a song. He just gets
Uh-huh.
on there and drops like this tiny verse. But it's still like decent.
Mhm.
But like it's just like 8 minutes. It's a very like minimal beat. I feel like there's not much to it, but it's just enough for everyone to kind of flow on. Like fucking Frank Ocean comes in, does a verse. You know what I mean? Like everyone
Yeah.
was in on it, and I just remember like being surprised at how like everyone held their weight. That's the other thing is if you get one of these songs where it's like a lot of people, like you have to be careful because if like two dudes in a row drop the ball, it's a wrap. Like you're
Yeah,
fucking
like you're like I'm not gonna. You listen to like the first half of the song, and then you just go, all right, that's it, skip.
right,
Yeah, and I was just gonna say when you were mentioning, everybody jumping on it, I was like, a future topic could be best posse cuts.
right.
And I feel like you might put this one on there as well. And then one song that was actually very close to making the 6 minute or the 7 minute mark that actually I was surprised didn't. That's a
Oh, I
posse
didn't
cut.
even see this one on the bottom until. Did you just put it
I
there?
just added it,
Because
yeah.
every time I think of posse cuts, this song's on there.
Right, yeah, One Train by ASAP Rocky. And so I mean, we'll talk about it in the future, but I was like, oh, One Train, definitely 7 minutes, maybe like eight, or maybe 7.5. And when I went to look up the time, it's only like six and some change. And so I was like, well, shit, I didn't want to put it on there.
Yeah.
But that's one that I thought was going to be seven, but it wasn't. And that's another one where like the guest verses are all really good. And if it was 7 minutes, you'd be like, yeah, they're all good. But I think, like you said, if one of them was not great or two of them weren't great, then every time you get to that point, just hit the next button. So,
What's I think there's one verse specifically that I'm not crazy about if I'm remembering correctly.
is
Uh,
it the Danny Brown one?
no, I love Danny Brown's verse, dude. It's nonsense, but I love his voice.
Yeah.
But it's the Yellow Wolf verse, dude. Because Yellow Wolf I think is right before Danny
What does
Brown,
he
right?
say?
God, I
Is
can't.
it? No, it's
You got the right kind of voice. He's got the worst voice ever, dude. It's like this, like it's like Eminem but redneck, dude. I'm not into it at all. I'm yeah okay. So he is in One Train. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to do it.
mm.
This riveting fucking podcast content. I'm scrolling through this list. They're not labeled. Fuck, dude.
When you mention my name amongst other white rappers of
Yeah,
black
exactly.
matter.
Yeah. Matter of fact, any other fucking rapper that's skating musician, trailer park, dirt ditch digging, burger flipping. Yeah, I was like, I'm not into this at all. I just need you. But luckily, I think it's. Yeah, the very next line is Danny Brown, and his voice just is so perfect for me that I just stick it. What's funny is I thought Danny Brown was terrible for the longest time,
Mm-hmm.
and then in so Gambino, Childish Gambino has a mixtape called Royalty,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't find it on Spotify because it's a mixtape. But
Right.
he does a version of Toxic by Britney Spears, and fucking Danny Brown's on it, dude, and it goes so hard. And that's when I was like, hold on, nah, dude, I'm in on the Danny Brown train. Like, I think
Yeah.
Danny Brown's my dude now. And then this came out shortly after, and I was like,
Uh,
nah, I'm definitely with Danny Brown now.
yeah.
Also, he just looks fucking weird if I'm keeping it a buck. Like, I sometimes the visuals are really just enough to throw me off, where I'm just like, I think I'm good. Like, but so yeah, that one I'm surprised isn't 7 minutes, and we'll talk
Yeah.
more about that on the Potsy cut.
Yeah.
But sorry, where I was going with that originally is that Yellow Wolf's verse is kind of bad, but luckily Danny Brown's is right after it, so like it works for me. But I could see where if you hated Danny Brown's verse and hated Yellow Wolf's verse, maybe you don't stay around for Big Crits, which is
Right.
fucking chef's kiss. Like,
Uh-huh.
so that's what you got to make sure you're doing if you have a song that long.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so what's your
So
next one?
my number three is I'm gonna switch around the list here just to mix it up a little bit, but mine is "Love Like a Sunset" by the band Phoenix.
Okay.
So this is from their album, the 2009 album, Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix. And they're sort of like techno-y alternative rock, more like what can I say? What do you like? Sort of like what's their names? The fucking French duo, Daft Punk.
Oh,
Like a little bit like Daft Punk, but more rock. And so this song is like the first like 5 minutes are like this really cool instrumental that I just love. I like love hearing it. Like it sounds so cool. And then the last 2 minutes are just like a small version of a song. But I love this song and I love hearing it and like it sort of puts you in a specific mood. And then in their follow up album, they try to have this type of song again, where it's like a regular album, and then in the middle they put like a long 8 minute song,
Mhm.
but it's just not the same. It's not as good. This one I think is like one of those like driving like at sunset or driving at sunrise and listening to it type shit. It's excellent. I love it.
Right. So, you know what I just thought of would have been great to put in here and would have been a total fucking cheat
Yeah,
is I want to say it's illest motherfucker alive.
yeah, because it's
The
like
fucking
5 minutes
6 minute
of
pause.
silence.
Like, here's the deal. I remember when I got that song and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I googled it. They're like, "There's actually like a musical term. Like it's actually a thing. It's a technique or like a thing that happens in music, and is real." And at that moment when I read that, I was like, nah, dog, they whiffed. Like they're doing too much. Like this shit's not working for me. I don't want
Right.
to just sit in silence for 5 minutes and wait for the rest of
Before
this
I get to
fucking
the
song to
song,
come on.
yeah, dude, yeah, I have it on my iTunes. I did the
I
thing where you
skip it.
can,
I
yeah,
skip it
oh,
every time because I don't have
mhm.
iTunes. I just have Spotify. So like
Oh, yeah,
I have it on my
yep,
list because I know I like the song.
hmm,
Because before when I had it like downloaded, I would just like literally go into a program and clip off the beginning silence
yeah,
and then
yeah.
fucking put it on my phone. But like now, like I'm like, oh, I love that song. And then every time it comes on, like a minute and a half in, I'll be like, wait, why'd the music stop playing? And I look and it's still motherfucking line. I'm like, skip, dude.
God, these motherfuckers.
I was like, I'm not fucking with the skip, dude. I'm out.
Yeah, yeah, dude. On my iTunes, I have it to where it starts right when it normally starts.
Right,
You know, it's like dun dun dun. I'm just like, all right, that's where we start. Fuck
right.
all this silence bullshit.
Yeah, so that song is not on my list because that would be a cheat. And also, the silence that makes it that long actually ruins it because I never listen to that song anymore. So, but the next song I'm going to talk about is there's this one might be unfair to put, which is that Busta Rhymes did a song called "Touch It," right?
Mm,
And he did a bunch of remixes with it, like and if I'm not mistaken, there was a small, like almost like a single, but it was just like the different remixes of it because it was different people because the beat is great. The beat for that song is fucking bars, which doesn't actually make sense, but I'm sticking with it. But the beat's so good, and like I think I'm trying to think of the names on the remix, but anyways, then I don't know if this is official or not. Like I don't know if this was officially put out. I feel like it had to have been, but there's definitely versions of that song you can find where people just took the different remixes because it's always the same beat, it's just different verses. Like took
hmm,
all the verses and threw them together into one long one, and I want to say it's something over like 9 minutes. But everyone goes so hard because the beat's so great. It's like Lloyd Banks, Remy Ma, maybe definitely Papoose. Like there's a whole bunch of people on it, and they all killed it. So that song, like I don't know if it counts because, like I said, I don't know if that full remix is even real. But I found it, so I'm counting it. Like in
Yeah,
my
it's
heart
like
of hearts, I know it exists, and that's all that matters.
there's like a fucking like 10-minute cut that's I'm guessing like you said like somebody just made online of You and Me and No. Remember that song from like
Oh
5 years
yeah,
ago?
you know it. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody like just put a bunch of motherfuckers together over the instrumental, and I don't think it's like an official song. I think somebody just cut it together.
Yeah.
But it's like 10 minutes long of that You and Me Now, including that shitty Rick Ross verse.
Yeah, what's funny, the difference though for me, and why
Hmm.
I feel okay putting this one, is that I think for the You Need Know It one, like they, I feel like other people just jumped on it and did a freestyle. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
don't think Rick Ross was out here like, hey, do you want to be on this song? Whereas like the Busta Rhymes thing, there was definitely a like I said, like a single or something that had all of those verses on it. They were just separated into different songs, and then someone was like, I'm just gonna combine tracks 1 through 5, and then like take out the Busta Rhymes verse that starts every single song. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like and just like.
Dude, yeah, this song is 12 minutes long. It's Rick Ross, Future, Wiz Khalifa, ASAP Rocky. Let's see who's next. Two Chains and Black Hippie, which is like it's like fucking like
Black
Kendrick and
Hippies,
everybody
yeah,
else.
Black Hippies like Kendrick, Absol, and Schoolboy Q.
It's like fucking like 10 dudes on a song.
All right, so let's see. So
I don't think I've ever actually listened to it.
so the Touch It Mega Remix is what it's called. It
Yeah.
shows up on Genius, so it may actually be a legitimate thing.
That's a legit song. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
If it's on there, it's legit. I don't think
so
you could find this anywhere.
there's Lloyd Banks, DMX. DMX has another verse. Fuck Mary J. Blige. Woo! All right, Neo. Woo! Papoose. Raw Digga, that's who I thought it was, Remy Ma. Missy Elliott, Busta Rhymes, and Swizz Beats is on there dropping a few struggle bombs. But
Yeah.
but
Fucking up everybody's shit.
exactly.
Fucking Swiss Beats.
But yeah, so that's a real thing apparently. I wish I could see the length of it like right here, right now, but I can't. But anyways, that's a lot of fucking people on it. All of them do great. I feel like I remember Lloyd Banks
Yeah.
having the best verse. But what's funny is I definitely remember in the video, every person that did a part of the video. I don't know that in this mega remix they all have like a video,
Hmm.
but they would just be like dressed like Busta Rhymes is dressed in like all orange and yellow, and the background's just like a big yellow room, and like Papoose is dressed in like all green, and he's got like he's like green and white jacket
Hmm.
and a green baseball hat, and then like the room's green, but like in the Busta Rhymes one, just by looking at this like thumbnail of the video, I immediately remembered there's just some random other dude with Busta Rhymes in his room, and like he doesn't say a line, he doesn't do shit. He's just in there, just like everyone else is just solo with the person like with them rapping, and this dude's just like in there being his hype man, but doesn't actually say anything. It kills me every time. But yeah, so that song it's like 9 minutes, and everyone does okay, and I definitely like it because the beat's amazing.
Yeah.
So
A quick thing about Mary J. Blige. Every time I hear about her now, or like I hear her name
her
now,
dancing,
I
right?
think no.
Oh, okay.
Well, yes, yes, but also the clip of her singing to Hillary Clinton when she's
Oh
sitting in
yeah.
the chair. Is it a gun? Is it a knife? And
I
Hillary
was like,
Clinton's just like staring at her.
what was the point? Like, why are you doing this?
Somebody was like, she should have won the election just because she didn't burst out laughing. No man, but my number 4 is a bit of a cheat. I think this one's a bit of a cheat because it's actually 2 songs put into one,
Right.
which is something that Tyler the Creator does also. But I don't think any of his 2 songs put into one ever hit 7 minutes. But this one does.
He has a song on Wolf that's legitimately 3 songs put into one, and I still
Yes.
think it's only like 5.5 minutes.
Yeah. So that's like that. When they do that, I feel like they're like, we got like 2 like half songs. Let's just smush them together.
Right.
But these 2 actually feel like 2 distinct separate songs.
Right.
So, well, I haven't even said what the song is. It's Pound Cake, Paris Morton Music 2, from Nothing Was the Same, which I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago.
Right.
It's the last. Is it the last song on the album? I think it's the last song on the normal one, not the deluxe version. But the first half is it's got that. It starts with that cool little snippet. Do you remember? It's like
I don't. I feel like I
we,
remember that it had a cool one, but I don't remember what it
it was
actually
like
was.
back in the old days we used
Oh
to get
yeah.
champagne from the studio and just did it.
Yeah.
Only real music can last. All this other bullshit's here today and gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
and there's that
real
great
quick,
sample
the opening of that one, I don't know why it makes me so mad. It makes me so mad I can't find the version of All Me anymore. Do you remember?
with Randy.
Yeah. Can't get no more
Yes,
free,
yes.
Randy.
Can't get no more free, Randy. They gotta stop paying me for this.
Yeah,
Can't get
and
no more free, Randy.
I can't find that version anymore.
Yeah, because that was like the version that came out before the album dropped.
Right, that
And
was
the
I
album
think that went
dropped,
on the
and
radio too, right? Like I feel like I remember hearing it on the radio with the
oh,
no
I
more
don't
free,
remember.
Randy.
Yeah, because he drops that song before the album comes out. I add that to my iTunes, and then the album comes out, and I update all the songs, deleting the old one. And then before I realized that I had deleted the old one, I had the new one, which doesn't have that little clip with Aziz Ansari going like, "Can't get no more free, Randy."
And it's so good. I don't know why it just sets it off the right amount for
Stop
me.
paying me for this.
But yeah, so
The first half Pound Cake has a Jay-Z verse, and I think it's pretty good.
I don't remember
And
that
then-
song, but I remember thinking I loved it. So I need to go back and listen to it at some point.
Oh, it's really good, and it has that great sample by I think who does he sample? I think he samples Janet Jackson, and he like takes a Janet Jackson song and plays it in reverse.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's my fourth one.
And then Paris Morton music's like less rap, right? It's like kind of more R&B. Or maybe not. Maybe
I think it's pretty rap, yeah.
Oh,
but it's
okay.
just him. I think you talk, I guess it should be less aggressive and pessimistic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not in my best behavior. Something.
Right.
It's excellent.
I got you. So the last one I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to play a small section of it for you, because it's off of a Busta Rhymes album, and it's called Flip Mode Squad, or it's either Flip Mode Squad meets Def Squad, or Def Squad meets Flip Mode Squad. So at the time, Busta Rhymes had his group. It's called Flip Mode, and if you listen to the song, you'll say Flip Mode in random songs. Def Squad was very obviously like people in Def Jam. So you had Redman, Keith Murray, Rampage. Maybe that he might have been on Flip Mode. Either way, a couple people that are more well known. On Flip Mode, it was basically just. I feel like it was just. It was basically just Busta Rhymes and a bunch of people that are like lesser known. But there's a dude named, I want to say, Lord Have Mercy. That's his rap name. He has the most hilarious voice. And it is so confusing here's the deal. I hadn't heard this song for years. Like, I'd forgot this song existed. And I was listening to it, and I don't remember anybody's lines, right? And then the last dude is starting to finish, or this dude before him starting to finish his verse, and I immediately I remember like half of this dude's verse because his voice is so hilarious that I would just say it. Like even just like sitting at home, I'll just say it because of his the way he does it. So I'm gonna play the very ending of one guy's verse, and you're gonna hear a distinctly different. There's no chance you're gonna miss this voice change, and I want to hear your reaction. This may be a flop. You may not think this is funny. I think this is the most hilarious shit ever. All right. So if you go to 5 minutes and 18 seconds of this song, you're gonna hear the end of this verse, and then it's gonna go straight into Lord Have Mercy. To a certain extent, sometimes they use the underground to make a comeback. That shit is whack. Fade away and never come back. Now and forever, it's my evil that can do. Bro, my man kills me with that voice every time. Dude,
what in the fucking Transylvania Dracula bullshit is that?
Yeah, dude.
He's like Bela Lugosi.
Dude, he comes in, he's like, for now and forever. It's
Darkness
my
falls
evil
across
that
the land.
men do.
The moonlight hand is close at hand.
Bro, the ending of his verse, I can't remember his last line is more like Afghanistan guerrillas. So I just every time, dude, I'll just be sitting in my room. I'll just be like, for now and forever. It kills me every time. And that means that dude actually got signed to a major label. Like that man is in Busta Rhymes' crew. I can't imagine what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Like
so he was like, hey, He's like, yeah. What kind of mood are you going for? I'm like, just imagine like Vincent Price on Thriller made into like a full song. That's what we're talking about here.
God, it kills me every time, dude. That dude has the best fucking voice. So that's my last song. The song's actually good. Keith Murray and Redman kill it. Straight up kill it at the
Hmm.
beginning of that song. And Busta Rhymes verse is good. And Rampage's verse is good. But that dude, every time he comes on, like, it ups that song from like an 8 to a 9 out of 10. Like, it's so bad that it fucking flipped on the other end of the spectrum. Like Evil Dead. Like the
Yeah,
first Evil Dead movie is not supposed to be funny at all. But it was
right.
so hilariously and poorly done that like it
It's like
turned into a
horseshoes
comedy.
around. Yeah,
And it's hilarious. And then they're like, oh, so we're just gonna double down on the funny then. And then Evil Dead's fucking 2, 3, and whatever, like are just comedies. But
yeah,
but
yeah,
like that's what that song did for me. They went for now and forever. Like, so absurd.
yeah.
My man
Yeah, so
gets into the booth and raps like that, and other people around him don't stop him.
yeah, dude. Like, how did they not go like that? Fucking like I said, the clip of like, what is he
Oh,
doing?
yeah,
Shut this shit the fuck off!
and then they
He's
get,
fucking up my single.
and then they're like, get a different. He's like, no, I got a different verse for you. And then he goes like, more like Afghanistan gorillas. Like, God. Oh, dude, that shit is
Oh
so
man.
bad and so great. It is simultaneously both. So that's the last song over 7 minutes. Please go listen to it to get the full effect. I don't know how great it's going to sound through the microphone, but please go listen to it on your own.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I'll play it. I'll find it later. Yeah, and play. Let me see if I can find the fucking this thing. Hold on. See if I can. Oh, here it is.
that's
So
that
good.
dude. Dude,
There's no way. There's no way that the guy who got the song back from that guy back being like, yeah, that was good. Let's add it to it.
no.
It had to have been like
I
a side of
love
the Prince thing that we were talking about last week, where like right before they sent it out to print, he just like sprinkled it like salt over it, like right before they sent it out.
Also, though, all right, so two things. One, that dude goes, what the fuck is he doing? Dude, that has to be the reaction. Everyone else out there that heard him start that shit for now and forever, like, had to be like, the fuck is he doing? Or they were like, maybe that's just the first line. Like, maybe he's just trying to do a dramatic entrance. And then his next line is, evil that men do. Enter my inner center. And they're like, Jesus Christ, he's still going. And then two, for that awful voice, the ridiculous voice, could you think of a better rap name than Lord Have Mercy? That is, it matches so perfectly in all the wrong ways, dude. Like, oh god,
Yeah.
what the
So,
fuck is he doing?
Turn this shit the fuck off and just.
And then what I was saying is like, if you go further in that video, he's like, they call the dude, and they're like, "What the fuck was that?" He's like, "I got another verse. Don't worry." And they're like, "Got another verse? How do you have another verse?" Or he's like, "Don't worry." He sends it over, and that was like I said, the ending of that verse, like, more like Afghanistan gorillas. Like it's like they had to hope by the end he was gonna change it, and he just wrote it the whole way through.
Oh my gosh.
I need to look and see if that dude has a whole album. I need to go try and find and see if he has like a whole
my
album
God.
or a mixtape where he raps like
Yeah,
that
I'm gonna
the
play
whole
it.
time.
If you do send it, I'll play it during my Halloween party. Or give it to a spirit Halloween and be like, look, you just put this while people shop in here.
You could be like, this is kind of vulgar. Be like, but it sets the mood.
It sets the mood. It gets the spooky people going.
Gets the spookies going.
So I did have two that were close that I didn't put on the list just because they didn't. I thought they'd hit 7, but they didn't. One Train was one. Dear John by Taylor Swift, which I think is really great. And it has really good songwriting, storytelling in it. That one's good too. And Same Old Mistakes by Rihanna, which is a cover. But it's still, both of them I think are like 6:45, 6:30 ish. So they didn't make the cut, and along with One Train.
Gotcha. So, real quick, two other things we should add to this growing list of music topics we want to talk about are best storytelling songs, and then best posse cut, And then I feel like there was one more that I came across and then immediately fucking lost. So let's just add those two for now. Maybe I'll remember that other one later when I go back to listen to
Yeah.
this. But we just need to add those to the list. Um, but yeah, so we're done talking about that because I feel like we're probably stepping close to time, right? I feel like
Yeah. So
I feel like
I
I
was
drunk
just gonna
that
say, I
one a
was
little
like,
bit.
speaking of updating something that's been going on for a long time, or for a good while, The Last of Us did an update. I think recently, I think this week, when the week as we're recording this, and they added a bunch of shit to it, more than they already had. But one thing they added was a permadeath.
Right.
So basically, like when you start the game, you have like one life. Like if you die, like you die for real. Like
No
that's it.
checkpoints.
It's
Your
like
save's
no checkpoints.
over.
It's like fucking the Matrix. When you die in the Matrix, you die for real. It's like that.
Yeah. Now that I don't know how much you follow it, but like that's actually a very common thing in video games that players do themselves. Like players will like people will just do like a challenge and be like the one death challenge. You know what I mean? Like
Ah, okay.
people will do like
Mm-hmm.
a Pokemon game and say like if you have a Pokemon and it faints in a battle, it actually dies, and you just like put it in the PC and like let it go. Like you set
Oh,
it
they
off.
they like manually set these rules for themselves.
Right, exactly. Like the game doesn't do it, but like they'll go and say like, if I'm in this fight and my Pokemon faints, I'm gonna act like it actually died, and then I never get to use that Pokemon again. Like
Okay.
I put it in the PC and then do whatever the instruction is to like get it to leave. So like Dark Souls is another one that's like an extremely punishing game, um, and like people do like one death runs. If you die, it's a wrap, which is
Mm-hmm.
cool. And I think it's cool for a game like The Last of Us to embrace that, considering that it works on a thematic level also. You know what I mean? Like the whole
Mm-hmm.
game is kind of like you're like what the depths you're willing to go, and like the fact that everything's always kind of falling apart around you and there's death on every corner. You know what I mean? So like it
Yep.
fits. Like if you do a one death run of fucking like Spider-Man, you're gonna be like, okay, but who cares?
Yeah. Like I mean, I've only died like 3 or 4 times, and I know what was one of the game that I remember growing up on that had this Bioshock. If you didn't
Yeah,
use one of the little the revival tank thingies, like I
yeah.
think that's one that was like that, where like you basically, I
Like it
feel like
doesn't auto save, so you had to save, and if you decided like I'm just gonna play this without using those tanks, then when I
right
die,
when
it's
you
over.
die, you'd have to constantly be saving, which is I feel like that's the easy way out because this is like the game like registers it. Like when you die, like the game goes, no, you're dead. Like I actually watched a clip. I think last night,
Hmm.
where a guy he was only 2.5 hours in, and so what he does, there's like a level where you like swing a rope in a synagogue. Do you remember that?
I think so.
You're
Yeah.
like on a swinging rope, and so he jumps on his Ellie, and he tries to turn down the film grain or something, and he like hits circle one too many times, and he lets go of the rope, and so he falls to his death,
Oh my
and he's
god.
like, no, no, and he was like pissed about it, but 2.5 hours isn't. I mean, it sucks, but
So I have
to die that way, it's like,
I have the most amazing story, and it's about Destiny 1. Did you ever play Destiny 1, the first Destiny game?
mm-mm,
Okay,
mm-mm.
so they would do these things called raids. They would release them, and the very first raid was a Vex raid. So it was basically like a fire team, like a squad in that game was, I'm pretty sure, 3 people. And your raids would be, I want to say, 6 people. And so it was like
Yep.
a large, sprawling dungeon with puzzles in combat that like you would get to like this giant boss that had like these crazy mechanics, and then you do that to that would be like the highest strongest gear you could get until the next raid came out. Like you could
Mm-hmm.
get like really good gear, but like the best stuff came from that. And so there was a trophy or an achievement, depending on what system you use, called Flawless Raider, and it was basically like in that game, like when someone died, I want to say they died for good until the rest of your party made it to the next checkpoint, and then they would
Oh.
spawn in at the next checkpoint, like
Mm-hmm.
whoever was left. Like if one person made it, everyone came back at that next checkpoint. But the trophy Flawless Raider was that nobody died at any point during the raid, and we did it. We were doing it for that. I still don't have that fucking challenge, I think. And it's funny because we had done this raid so many times just getting gear, like without even trying to get the trophy. You just do the raid, and obviously naturally you repeat things enough time, you get better at it, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So there's this one fucking spot where it's this giant cliff. And like in that game, it's a sci-fi game, so everybody kind of has their own like hover or like extra double jump, triple jump, like mechanic for like
Yeah. Yeah.
like jet boost kind of thing, but obviously there's a limited amount. So like, if you're the Warlock class, like as you jump, you need to like slowly tap it to slow yourself down enough so that way when you get to the bottom, you're not going fast enough to take fall damage and die.
Right.
I was using a Titan, which is kind of extra to this story. Like I don't really need to go into that, but I was using a Titan who has a specific jump mechanic, and I always use the Titan. I always did the jump, and I had literally up to this point done it close to 100 times at this point, probably. Never died on that jump, and I like remember even before we tried for this flawless raider trophy, shitting on every friend who ever died on that jump because I was like, this is the easiest shit. Like, how are you dying? Just fucking press the button before you hit the ground. It's not hard. Mm-hmm. We did this flawless raider trophy and made it through what is probably the hardest part because the boss was kind of easy if you learned this one thing you could do. We made it through the hardest part with no one dying. Like, we had continued to fail up until this point. We made it through this point. The next thing is that fucking cliff, and I'm the only one that fucking died. I used like all of my jet booster like higher than I thought I was because I fucking dude, I did the fucking Reggie Miller choke, dude. I was like literally in my head before I did that jump, I was like, boy, this would be shitty if I was the one that died here. And like,
it would be crazy if I was the one who fucking.
And like, I got too nervous and used like too much of my jump at the beginning and just didn't have any at the end. Like, I went to hit it at the end and nothing happened. I was like, it's me. I did it. Like, hit the ground,
this
died.
This kind of shit you just gotta like fucking get up and just like walk out and be like.
Literally, I died. Everyone was like, who was that? Who was that? And I was just silent. I was staring at the fucking ceiling, and they're like, was that Tyler? And I was like, that. I know you're not going to believe this was the only time I've ever died doing this. Like,
God damn it. Something similar, not similar happened to us, but like, it was kind of the same. It was, we were playing Grand Theft Auto a couple months ago, right when quarantine started.
I have a great story for that. Continue.
And we were doing the heist, the first heist. I think you have to break a...
Go ahead.
You have to break a guy out of prison.
Yep.
And like 2 people break him out. 2 people have like the plane, and you have to like fucking fly the plane in a fucking circle for like 10 minutes. And so, dude, like this is one of their best levels because there was so many steps to it, and it was big, and it was like one of the early heists. So there was a lot put into it. And so it took us like 3 or 4 tries, and then we finally get the guy on the plane. And then all you have to do, the mission's over. All you got to do is jump out the plane. No, you got to jump out the plane and you got to land.
Yeah.
Yeah, parachute, and there's a guy waiting for you with a helicopter. One guy.
On the beach, right?
Yep. And
also,
so
this is important for my story, but you don't have to land on the beach. You can land in the water and swim to the beach.
Yes, that's what we did. Yeah, and that's what we did.
Because you don't take any fall damage when you land in water. Right?
And so we did it. I was like, guys, don't get close to the helicopter. Just fucking don't get into the propellers. Just land in the water and walk. Because it had taken us like 20 minutes to finish. And so we were walking up to the helicopter after we get off the beach, and it does fail. And we're like, what happened? The fucking helicopter had landed in a bush, and the propellers had broken on a tree, and we had to do the whole thing over because the helicopter was landed on the wrong spot. We're like,
my God. So this is so good. This one, somebody was share playing, and I was just watching. It's like like a kind of back-ass words version of streaming something. But he was share playing, I was watching them do the heist. And they're doing the heist, and fucking they're leaving, right? And they're like doing that part, and like there's one guy that has fucked it up for them every time they've done it. And he's still there because they're all friends in real life. And so they all land in the water. And then this dude is parachuting and he's like going full speed, right?
Oh my God.
He's going full speed to parachute. And like one of them's like, what are you doing, Mike? And then the one I'm spectating, he's like, Mike over here fucking playing it fast and loose like usual. And he's going, bro, he parachutes again. This is, I want to say you escape to like almost an island or like a giant beach. Like there's so much water. and everyone just landed in the water, swam to shore. This man in the parachute hits the side of a mountain and dies. And they're like, dude, Mountain Mike, what the fuck are you doing? And his nickname for like the next month was Mountain Mike. And it was so great because all of them were in the water watching him parachute in the sky.
You just
and
see like
all of a sudden
the ragdoll effects are so good because you just fucking see the parachute. That's so great, dude. That's something like that happened to us in a later mission where you have to rob a bank and then you take motorbikes up to like one of the mountains and you have to like jump fucking off the motorbike and then in the air pull a propeller, right? And so we fucking jump off and I'm like, guys, I didn't jump off the right part. Like I literally jumped, pulled my propeller, and in the moment I pull it, fucking smack right into a rock, and it's just like that. And I was like, Jesus Christ, no. Because it was one of those missions where, like, if you fuck up that, you have to go all the way back down to the city and drive all the way back up north.
Yeah. Oh, God, dude. They were like, Mike coming in hot as usual, and then he just nails the side of a mountain, bro. It was so avoidable. That's what killed me. Like, it was...
Yeah.
And he wasn't trying. He's just, like, doesn't... Like, he just wasn't thinking. And just, like, nailed the side of that mountain. I was like, why? And then we're at the end. Like, it's literally the last step is to swim to the beach.
We're right there, Mike. God damn it.
That shit killed me every time. Oh, God. Boy. So, I feel like we're probably at an hour. I feel like I can trust that we're at an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
But do you think you... I know we mentioned... before we recorded about playing The Last of Us again.
Oh yeah.
And I like, dude, like I said, I played Uncharted 4 and I'm playing Spider-Man now, but I still can't feel but like I miss playing The Last of Us 2, right?
Right.
Like I liked the fucking combat and the being in that world. And so part of me goes, well, you can just play it again, but it's just so long and it's so
such
much
a time commitment. Yeah.
That I'm like, it's just fucking huge. It's like wanting to rewatch The Wire, right? Where you know that something there is fucking amazing and you know it'll always be amazing.
Right.
But it just the commitment is so huge. And even I mean that's like 60 hours, but it's like fuck.
Like, there's also, the other point, which is that like I want to play it again. And that's true. It's like, but it'll always be there, so I can play it later. And then you just never play it. You just never go back.
Yeah.
But like in your head, you're always like, no, it'll still be there. Like I can finish playing this game first, and then a new game comes out. You're like, I'll finish playing that one, and then I'll go play Last of Us 2 again. Like it's just never gonna happen.
Yeah, and like part of me goes, I should go it and play like with all of my guns and just go and fucking guns a blazing and just pow pow pow. You just fucking
turn it into a fucking action movie with the fucking SMG, like the silenced SMG.
Yeah, dude, like half of me wants to go and doing that, and half of me wants to go, you know what, I should make it harder and give myself a challenge, but then I'm like, or I could just make it, unlimited supplies and just fucking go in, John Wick this bitch.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, God. Yeah. But anyway, I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, one day in the near future of 2045. Be on the fucking PlayStation 8. But I guess real quick, just because I mentioned at the beginning, Big Ten and Pac-12 have canceled football, right?
Yes.
ACC, SEC, and Big 12 have not made any announcements.
No.
There's no way this football season's happening, right? I think we're all in agreement. There's no way.
I think there's no way it ends. I think they might start it, but I don't think it goes to completion. I don't see Carolina playing Notre Dame November, whatever the fuck.
Right.
I really don't.
I guess I could see that. What's funny is like in my head I'm like, there's no way this season happens. But then all of that is made with the assumption that there are competent people who care in charge.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Because I read an article that said basically like every doctor for any of the big Power 5 schools, conferences, or whatever are all like, no, this is just a bad idea. Like every doctor's like, there's just gonna be a lot of people sick. Like a lot of people are gonna get it, and they're just like still playing coy, like maybe we can, maybe we can't. I do think it is the fact that players are like trying to create a union. You know what I mean? Is a big deal. It's a very big deal, even outside of this situation. But that may be what. To me, that may be what puts the nail in the coffin. You know what I mean? If players themselves are willing to just come out and be like, look, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? If enough big names do that, I think you're good. Even if
Yeah.
Trevor
No, yeah.
Lawrence is like, "Oh, we want to play. They're doing the best they
Let's
can."
play. Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Dude, I can totally imagine the fucking team coaches calling doctor and then hearing what he's saying and then literally reacting with, "Turn this shit the fuck
That's
off!
what
What
I
the
was
fuck is he doing?"
Turn this shit the fuck off. They're on a
He's
Zoom-
fucking up my
There's a
season.
Zoom call, and it's like, well, we don't think it's safe. It's like, turn this shit the fuck off. Oh my god. Yeah, so that's exactly what's happening. No, dude, it's the translator. Like they're on the call with the headsets on, and then the doctor's like, "This is not good," and the translator like rips his headphones off with that awful face. The coach is like, "I don't want to fucking hear this." Oh god. All right, guys. Well, that's episode 15. You can catch me at T Money Bags on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can find me at evercastro92 on Instagram.
And if you want to catch the podcast directly, you can catch that at Diff Animals Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or email us directly at differentanimalspodcast@gmail.com.
And for homework this week, let's say, tell somebody you play online games with about the podcast. Whether it's that new game Fall Guys, which we can talk about that next week. I haven't played it that much, and I do want to talk about it since it's relatively new, and I've seen a lot of people talk about it. Whether it's Fall Guys, or Overwatch, or GTA, or Madden, or whatever. Whoever you play with the most online, tell them about the podcast and, help us grow our listenership.
Absolutely, and if you don't online game, then just whoever you're playing games with online. You know what I mean? Like you catfishing somebody, tell that person to watch the podcast.
You're DMing them, but then when they respond, you don't say anything.
Send that person a link to the podcast.
Yeah.
You constantly fucking putting eye emojis under someone's pictures. Send that person a link to the podcast. All right, guys.
When they get to this episode, they'll know that you were trying to make a move.
Yeah, that'll work.
It's the long game.
Yeah, it's the long con. All right, guys. What were you gonna say?
Wait, I was gonna say I'm gonna send you something in a little bit.
Okay.
But have you seen this video where somebody puts voiceover over No Country for Old Men? Have you seen No Country for Old Men, or do you know sort of what it's about? I feel like we've talked about it.
Yeah, I know a decent amount. I recognize the movie and I know a lot of what's going on.
So after you get off, I'll send it to you. But anyway, I don't know why I'm saying this on air, but just fucking hilarious. And for some reason, you talking about doing it online reminded me of it. Like the fucking clip just flashed into my brain, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta send it to Tyler." But anyway.
All right, well, and I'll post it from the Twitter account before this episode airs, so that way everyone gets to enjoy what the fuck we're talking about. Even though I currently, in this moment, have no idea what it is. So,
all right.
Sounds good. Stay safe, stay entertained, and we'll catch y'all next week. Every Thursday at fucking noon.
Be safe, guys. Take it easy, and we'll talk soon.
Peace. Oh.
Yep.
Okay, so this is gonna be an announcement for anybody that doesn't know me personally, but your boy is having a second kid.
Oh.
Yes, sir. So in honor of that, and by the time that this comes out, we will know the gender, but obviously I don't right now. But in honor of that, I hit through one of my favorite, most hilarious Kanye lines to me, which is, yep, we was practicing till one day your ass bust through the packaging. You know what, though? You my favorite accident.